talk a lot about awareness and authorship, and that your life story will be written, but who's really holding the pen? And I think that's
Mm,
what you're talking about. So tell
mhm.
us about that.
Yeah, yeah. The idea is when I take my clients through it's a 1 year process journey really of transformation, and the latest analogy that I've had is if you imagine the life you would like to live, like let's say you walked into a puzzle shop. This is a brand new one, so hopefully this makes sense to you. But let's say you went into a shop that sells puzzles. Well, inside of each one of those boxes, you've got a bunch of puzzle pieces, and on the front is a picture of what the finished product will look like. And so you walk around shopping for the puzzle that you like, and you buy the puzzle you like not because of the pieces, but because of the picture on the outside of the box. And so imagine if you were shopping, if you were going to build a puzzle that represented your life, and it was the life you want to build, a life you love to live. I'll say that again. What if you were able to build a life you loved to live? Not just liked or wasn't just good. Build a life you love to live, right? And so you go around, you're looking at these puzzle boxes, and you're like, that's it. That's a great puzzle box. So you buy it. You come home with it, you open the box, what you don't realize is that there's some puzzle pieces in there that go to your puzzle. There's some puzzle pieces in there that are part of someone else's puzzle. It's
Mhm.
out from another box and they just got mixed in. There's also pieces missing, there's pieces broken, and there's some pieces you actually have to manufacture. And so what I do with my clients is over a year process is we first of all get a good snapshot of best as we can of what that puzzle picture looks like. What's the picture of your life you want it to look like? And then we look inside your box, we find the puzzle pieces that fit, we find the puzzle pieces that don't fit, and then we figure out the puzzle pieces we need to add. And then we start to put the puzzle pieces, we start to assemble your life's puzzle picture over time. And it takes about a year, and there's some basic stuff, the mechanics of eating, the mechanics of sleep, the mechanics of exercise. And there's nothing new under the sun. They're just the nuts and bolts. But the mindset piece is usually what we're missing. And the first five elements, we start with where are you? Element one. Where would you like to be? Element two. What's the path to get from where you are to where you want to be? That's element three. And then element four is my favorite. It's the drama triangle, emotional awareness, the managing your mindset. Are you a victim, villain, or a hero? Or are you going to move into the empowerment triangle and take responsibility for your life?
Mhm.
And then element five is all about surroundings, how the people around us and the environment around us affects the choices that we make. It's profound. So that's the first five elements, and that's my favorite section to get people to that because they start to see things differently. And so the analogy you're talking about is your story will be written. Who's holding the pen?
Mhm.
Are you going to become an author in your life and start to write your story of what you want your life? What's the life you would love to live? What would you have if it was a chapter book instead of a puzzle analogy? If it was a chapter book, what would chapter two look like? Like, let's say everything in your life up to now is already been written. That's whatever chapter one, and you have however many chapters left for the rest of your life. Maybe a chapter is every 10 years. And so, what's going to be in your next chapter?
Mhm.
Are you going to have some adventure, some travel? Are you going to have some romance? Are you going to have some drama? Are you going to have what's it going to look like? Are you going to be healthier? Is there going to be a marathon or a triathlon in there? Are
Right.
you going to travel? I don't know.
One of the things that I love about you is you really bring to light the awareness, and that when you're coaching your clients, it doesn't start with mindset, it actually starts with the felt need. So I want you to talk more about that. And then I also would love for you to talk about when it comes to emotional eating, that hitting the easy button is like going on welfare. And so
Mm.
those are like such good nuggets I would love for you to expand on.
those puzzle pieces that are familiar, but they just don't fit in your puzzle. And you've tried to cram them in there for years, and when you stop and look at it, you can tell when you actually take a good look at a puzzle. You're like, that piece doesn't go there.
Mm,
It just doesn't go there. It might have fit, but the picture on the front doesn't match. And
mm,
I've done that before. We do lots of puzzles, and it may fit in there, but it doesn't go with it. And so you just have to say, nope, wrong piece. Take it out. Maybe it doesn't even belong in your puzzle anymore. Maybe
mm,
you just got to say, you've been, you've been interesting, but you just don't qualify for the future. And that's another thing. So a lot of times we think about food, and there's so much emotion that goes with food. What if you just said, does this choice qualify for who I'm becoming? Yes or no? So it's not this drama about I can or I can't. It's, does it qualify for who I'm becoming?
mhm,
You can think about driving. If you're driving to a destination, there's certain roads that qualify and certain roads that don't qualify in order for you to get there. It's not that those roads are good or bad. That's not even the right question. The question is, do they qualify to get me where I want to go? And the first step is, do you know where you want to go?
mm,
Every time you get in a car, there's one thing you know, you're going somewhere. You never get in the car and go, well, I guess we'll just we'll see where we end up today,
mm,
right? You get in your car for a purpose and you drive for a purpose. I think the idea of the welfare thing, hitting the easy button, having a situation where someone makes it easier for you up front seems like a good idea, but in the end, you don't build the muscles, you don't build the resolve, you don't build the life skills to be able to bear the weight of the successful life you want to live. And so when you hit the easy button, that's like you are telling yourself, this is too hard or I don't want to grow. I know every time when I'm in a workout, the easy button is to not work out. Is the alarm goes off and it's time to go exercise or go do some intervals or do whatever it is. And the first thought in my mind is, I'd rather not. If it's first thing in the morning, I'd rather not. And so if you do that long enough, you just fail to become better. You don't grow from this experience. And so what I've done personally is I've set up a group of people that um, they're anticipating my arrival. They are expecting me to show up, and it's the same for them. And so I do show up. And so we show up and we do these online spin classes and things like that, and different times where we work out with other people. And when it really counts, make sure you have somebody that you're meeting there because you won't miss it if you're doing it with somebody else. That's that community. I heard someone say community is a combination of two words, common and unity.
mm.
And so find people that you have common unity over. So we both want the same thing. So now we'll do it
Yeah.
and we'll do it together.
What you're saying is until we know what we want from our life, until we know where we're going in our life, until we know who we are and what are we bringing to this world, whatever that is, whether it's being a mom, planting a garden, being a grandma, like starting a company, it doesn't matter, like whatever that destination is, even if it's just maybe not the end goal but just one step in the right direction,
Yeah.
until we know that direction, we will continually just be aimlessly kind of floating around. And so we're not being challenged, and when we're not being challenged, it's way easier to hit the easy button.
Why wouldn't you hit the easy button? Why would you ever go get in your car if you didn't have a place you were determined to go?
Right.
Why would you ever leave the house unless there was somewhere you wanted something you wanted? Now, you may not be going on the trip of your lifetime. You might just be going to the grocery store, but go get in the car and think about the next time you get in the car. You start with the end in mind.
Hmm.
Now, it may be just going to get gas or going to the grocery store or whatever it might be. It may not be your grand story, right? But there's one of those there too. It may not be going to the Grand Canyon and having the trip of your lifetime. It might just be going to the park. But if you don't know the kind of body you want to live in, how will you know what to choose?
Mhm.
And so I mean, when we're thinking about traveling somewhere, it's so obvious. But I think a lot of people, they want to be less fat, or they're trying to solve a problem that's causing them pain because we don't like pain and we want a life of ease. I
Mhm.
heard I heard Timothy Keller say something that was really powerful. He's a pastor out of New York, and he said, "Some would think that a life without restriction, absolute freedom, would lead to a life of freedom." He said, oddly enough, a life without any boundaries and any restrictions and ultimate freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, how often you want, leads to bondage.
Interesting.
Imagine, imagine you tell yourself all food is possible and I'm going to eat as much as I feel like. In 2 years, tell me about your freedom,
Mhm.
right? Now, if you eat according to values and principles and you live a life with discipline and structure, tell me about your life in 2 years.
Mhm.
You will have found freedom.
Right.
It's just the opposite. It's opposite day.
Right.
What we think is true doesn't get us what we want. And this is what I do with a lot of people. If you don't know, or you haven't been able to find really the kind of life you want to live, you can work with somebody who's skilled at asking questions. This is what I do as my primary thing is I ask questions and I help people. I help sort of, it's like you start with marble and you just start to chip away a little bit, in a
Mhm.
figure starts to form, and you start to, you know,
Right.
you start to figure out what kind of a life would I like to live. And
Mhm.
then you'll start to grow into that new vision, and then you'll get an opportunity to do it again,
Mhm.
and then just keep doing that process. And your vision grows as your capacity grows and as your ability to your skill sets grow and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, I think the main one of the main things that I get disillusioned with, and it's just part of the human experience on both sides of the coin, the consumer and the producer, is we develop programs that help us to lose weight. They're trying to solve a problem. They're not trying necessarily to create health or a life we love to live, and they will come at it and they will spend most of their time talking about what to do. Even when I'm talking with new clients, they say, "Tell me how your program works." They want to know how it works and what to do. And I'm like, "Well, it works great and it's easy, it's simple, it's straightforward, but why would you want to change in the first place?" And so what when you're able to simplify what you're eating and some of the mechanics of it, you're able to go from what you're eating to why you're eating, and most importantly, who do you want to become?
Mhm.
And so, because we're so into the hows and the mechanics, we ask for diet programs. And
Mhm.
then we spend all this time getting the micros and the macros and the this and the da, 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 and we spend very little time on who we're becoming or why we're eating in the first place.
Mhm.
And as soon as the value of eating simpler and easier and less healthy becomes greater in the moment, you will choose that.
Mhm.
So it always comes back to why are you eating,
Mhm.
that leads to what you choose to eat. And if you can not only get clear, but stay clear and refresh that why am I choosing to do this? Why am I choosing to do this? Oh yeah, it's because I have a vision for who I'm becoming, and this next step qualifies. It's gonna get me there. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do that.
One of the quotes I love that you say is, "You truly don't break through until you are functioning fully from your true identity."
Mm,
And that's what you're talking about, right? Where we have
yeah.
to truly know who we are and what we want for our life, And
Well,
so,
and it can be super big or it can be small,
right,
but you have to have clarity on what's the next step. If you don't have clarity on what's going to be pulling you through the whatever, the cheeseburger wins
right,
because it's sitting right in front of you and it's clear value. It smells great. You love it, right? Whatever, fill in the blanks, whatever the cheeseburger in your life is. But if you're not really clear about who you're becoming and what you're like, if you've got a wedding and you're trying to fit into a dress,
you're
you
very
have clear. Yeah,
real
that cheeseburger, as great as it might
clear.
smell, doesn't qualify.
Mm,
Move, move aside, cheeseburger, right? But if you're not clear about who you're becoming, like it was an event, you
right.
know, then the cheeseburger in the moment, especially if you're hungry, is going to win. It's just going to win.
I
So
do.
it's developing that vision and that, if you will, an anchor, so that when you pull on the cheeseburger anchor and you pull on your future dreams, your future you, version 2.0, if you will, when you pull on that one, if it's anchored well, it can pull you away from the cheeseburger and pull you to it.
So essentially, it's flexing your vision muscle and making.
Oh, yeah. Well
Did I
said.
just nail
Yep.
that? Did I just nail that?
Yep.
I think you can
Yep.
use that.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. I'll talk about how you talk about flexing your vision muscle.
Sometimes I get these downloads, but that's what
Yep.
I saw. I was like, I am not flexing my vision muscle enough. What is my vision? And I feel like there's a lot of like moms or people who they lose themselves in their kids or in their job
Mhm.
and they forgot who they were along the way. And that's when we start seeing, people grabbing for the food to soothe because we're
Yep.
trying to feel something because we don't feel ourselves.
Yep.